All right. William Saliba is going to be out for close to 3 weeks. And that is the confirmation we've gone ahead to get in from the physios and the source from France, El Kipi in particular. Then Serge Gnabry, who really went ahead, obviously, hate an injury, has also gone ahead, obviously, get dropped, and other 3 players that you need to know about here onto this beautiful channel. Smash the like button, comment, and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as don't miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rokani David is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun wherever you are, and let's obviously get up and running to see to it that we hit 28,000 subscribers. And how can that really be reached? That can really be reached by doing one thing. If you are watching us in here and you haven't gone ahead to subscribe, do the needful and really subscribe. After subscribing, the rest will be history in here. You understand? So Saliba is the latest that we've obviously gone ahead to get into this story, and let's obviously get up and running. Let you know when and in which game he'll obviously be available for the club of Arsenal. Now, it was the game of Liverpool that marked the first 3 games of the season, or that marked match day 3 of the season of the Premier League, when William Saliba went ahead to obviously go down. And obviously, Mosquera came in through and really put in a very huge shift. And he really got lots of hails from the manager, and even his fellow players were like, you've gone ahead to come in through and really did a very, very, very wonderful job in there for you. So that is all about a player known as Mosquera, and he really got his flowers. Now, all of you have been asking me, Rokani, how long will Saliba and Bukayo Saka really take to see to it that they obviously get back into action for the club of Arsenal? First and foremost, we've gotten in the news of a player known as William Saliba, and it's L'Equipe from France telling us the following, that William Saliba will miss 3 to 4 weeks with an ankle injury. You understand? So he really got an ankle injury when the side of Arsenal was losing to the side of Liverpool, and it said that he's gonna be out for close to 4 weeks. Now, when we talk about 4 weeks, obviously you have to go onto the fixture of Arsenal and ask yourself, how many Arsenal games is William Saliba going to miss? If you're talking about 4 weeks, that means if today is 17th, if today is 7th, that means he return next month around 7th, The following games will be missed by the lad. 1, the first game, Arsenal versus Nottingham. That is next weekend. Then Arsenal will play their first game of the Champions League away in Spain against Athletic Club. He'll obviously miss that. Then Arsenal versus Man City, 21st September. Port Valley versus Arsenal EFL Cup. I don't think that he would even have featured. That is the 4th game. Then Arsenal versus Newcastle. That is the 5th game. Arsenal versus Olympiacos. That is the 6th game. And the 7th game will be Arsenal versus West Ham. Remember, where we are right now, it's going to be 2 games played per week. 2 games played per week. That's the level that we've gone ahead to reach on here. But the big question is, will this person or will this player be missed? That is the huge question. You understand? I don't think that the lad will be missed. Let's obviously speak out the truth, because the side of Arsenal really went ahead to obviously make huge recruitments, and very many players have been brought in through at the club of Arsenal in that particular position. When you look at the right-side centre-back, Mosquera, who came up and really featured predominantly in that game of Liverpool, came in through and really put in a very huge shift, and everyone was like, all right. And when this news came out that Saliba was to spend 3 to 4 weeks out, all Arsenal fan accounts were like, Mosquera, it's your time to shine. Because when Mosquera came in through, he really put in a very huge shift that all the fans of Arsenal were like, yeah, we're going to need to get in a player that will obviously save us from what would have gone hate to say or call danger. So William Saliba is really doing great, and he is obviously undergoing what we call is it called the physios, and he has obviously gonna need to really start doing his rehabilitation at the Sob Reality Training Center to make sure that after the next international break, William Saliba will be ready. And I've already told people that if you're a club like Arsenal, you would obviously call in for these injuries to come in through at this level. You understand? At this level, that's when you can obviously call in for such injuries to obviously come and really attack you. But when you are in the middle of the season, all from February, where a team that will obviously take a trophy really switches on, that really affects you all. Now, I was like, imagine the club of Arsenal from February having Saliba back, Jesus back, Saka back, Kai Havertz back, all those players, when they're already available, plus Benjamin White, I tell you, that squad of Arsenal will obviously be hard to beat. And I think the reason as to why Arsenal went ahead obviously signing very many players, during this summer transfer window is now vivid, that with players playing 2 games per week with the clubs, they'll obviously have to really go and play for their respective national teams. And in the due course of really playing for their respective national teams, you know exactly what will happen. Injuries will obviously come in. For example, the side of Barcelona is no longer the same because 2 of their players went ahead to get injured during the international break. And which players are those in particular? Frenkie de Jong and Lamine Yamal. And if at all you know what Lamine Yamal and Frenkie de Jong are for the side of Barcelona, you will agree with me that it's not going to go on well with the side of Barcelona. So if you really know what the international break is obviously going to be bringing, it's going to be bringing injuries. And the other big factor that you have to note is that these are not friendlies, because for friendlies, a player will obviously play sparingly, but these are what we call World Cup qualifiers. And in World Cup qualifiers, no player will obviously come and really play sparingly. All players will play with their full chest, and they'll obviously want to impress their managers to see to it that they're part of the squad that really goes to the World Cup. And by the way, for most of the players at Arsenal, most of their players have not gone ahead to play in the World Cup. For example, David Raya, I don't think that he has played at the World Cup. Timber has, Lewis Kelly hasn't, Carafiori hasn't, Saliba hasn't, Gabriel Magalhaes was there with Brazil but never featured predominantly, meaning that this is a time for him to obviously come in through and really get into that team in there. Then Zubimendi, he has not played in World Cup for Spain, meaning that when he's playing for Spain, like he did when they beat, Bulgaria by 3-0, you really understand that he will obviously put in a very huge shift. Mikel Merino, did he? Martin Odegaard, he has not. Saka, he was there. 2022, he was there. Saka featured really well there. The other player is Gyökeres. He hasn't obviously played in the World Cup, meaning that he'll obviously do the needful to obviously get there and really impress the manager. Ebelechi Eze hasn't played in the World Cup, meaning that every time he gets a chance, like he played yesterday against, he played yesterday for England, that means he'll obviously have to impress. The same applies to Noni Madueke and very many others. So that's how the international break really becomes a problem for the club of Arsenal, as very many games will be called up to be played, and these players will want to put in a very huge shift altogether. So we wait and see how that William Saliba injury recovers. But the good thing is that Arsenal is really having very many players that can play in that position, though Mosquera comes in first. But apart from Mosquera, you can talk about a player called Benjamin White. You can talk about a player called you can talk about a player called Julian Timber. And the other one is Declan Rice. I've gone ahead to see Declan Rice play as a centre-back at West Ham, and at Arsenal sometimes the manager really shifts him to play into the central defence in there. So that is William Saliba for you. But the number of games that William Saliba is obviously going to be missing, I've come up and obviously revealed to you those games that he's obviously going to be missing. And I think Arsenal is really solid and it's really strong in that particular aspect, to see to it that they really put in a very huge shift altogether for the side of Arsenal and Mikel Arteta's army at large. From there, let's obviously get to what we call the Serge Gnabry. Serge Gnabry is one of those that went ahead to obviously sustain an injury. Again, another Bayern Munich player down with an injury. So, deeper has told us that Serge Gnabry sustained an arm injury against Slovakia and played the second half with an arm brace. Nevertheless, he'll be available against Northern Ireland today. So he really got an injury, and that injury really meant a lot to what he's supposed to obviously be doing for the team. But he really kept on and really did the needful and really put in a very huge shift. And guess what happened? He played for the rest of the minutes when he's really having a bandage tied around his left arm. But we're having a breaking story that this team came in through and really, they were beaten, by the way. They were beaten. Germany was beaten. And the manager has obviously gone ahead to obviously say whichever player that really went ahead to obviously down tools, you aren't obviously going to be part of the team that is going to be playing tonight against Northern Ireland. And Bill is telling us that Julian Nagelsmann has decided to drop Serge Gnabry, who really played with one hand injured, Maximilian in there, and Namadi Collins and Angel Stiller from the lineup that he'll face Northern Ireland tonight. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 players have gone ahead to be dropped by the manager, and the manager has the right to do whatever he wants because he believes that these players might have gone ahead to obviously do what they can want. Obviously, they never really reached their levels. You understand? They never reached their levels. That is it. So that's why the manager is like, please, I'm not obviously going to be putting you into this team because you people never lived up to the expectation. So here we come to the end of the first video of the day, and Saliba out for 3 weeks. You understand? Saliba out for 3 weeks in there. And what do you make about it into the mix? Saliba is out for 3 weeks and others are saying 4. So I've gone ahead to count 4 weeks, and that means for the entire month that Arsenal is going to be playing the games when they return from international break. Obviously, Saliba is not going to be part of this Arsenal squad. So what do you make about Nagelsmann dropping 4 players, including Serge Gnabry that played with a bandage around his right hand that was really injured? You understand? So we sign out for now. See you later, but continue to subscribe to this channel to see to it that you really get in the creme de la creme of stories as they really happen in here onto the Rokani Media Football. And we will be back with a bang and more stories that will entice you and obviously give you the best of the best that you guys really deserve. You know, that is it. And that has been our first video of the day, talking Saliba and his injury and the games that he's obviously going to be missing. We out.